The third book that I ever read was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I remember reading this book when I was down bad, depression, everything. This was just before I moved back home to Warrington. So I was living with my girlfriend at the time and I was smoking weed all day, you know, just living like a fucking weirdo. And I literally remember this book. Every single time I would sit down to read this book, it felt like I got like quite a life-changing insight. It was like a big struggle to read at that time. I'm not gonna lie. When you've got mental health problems, when you're high all the time, when you're eating shit food and your brain's just like fucked, it was always a struggle to try and sit down and read this book. But every single time I did, I remember I would literally be in awe of like the knowledge and the insights that I would get from here. I've wanted to reread the book many times, but when I do try and reread it, it kind of has like a very like, it's obvious now. So if you're like down bad, this book might help you. But if you're kind of like quite a healthy, productive person, you might not really need this book because you already have like these mental models inside of your mind. This one specifically, there was one huge insight that really changed my life, which was that Mark Manson, the author of this book, said that no matter what you choose, you're gonna have to experience problems. You're just gonna have to be like a lifelong problem solver. It's time now to not pick the rewards that we want of a certain endeavor, because that leaves you clueless. If you only think of the rewards that you want, the benefits that you want from these two sports or these two jobs, it's incredibly hard to choose because, okay, you could be a YouTuber or you could be a rapper, and like, oh, you could get really famous and really rich from both of them, and you could get really, you know what I mean? The better thing to make decisions is to think about what kind of problem that you want to choose. And this really like changed it all for me, because at this point I was trying a bunch of different businesses. Obviously I read the 4-Hour Workweek, The Millionaire Fastlane, and so I was trying to think, okay, maybe I could like code my own apps, maybe I could write ebooks, I could be like an author or something, and I could be a drop shipper. I tried to be a fucking rapper as well, and I was making a couple of YouTube videos. At this point of the book, I literally just sat down and said, okay, which problems do I want to solve? And for me, straight away, it was the YouTube. It was like the problems that arise with YouTube, which namely at the time was just problems in terms of like the software that you'd use to like edit videos, because sometimes it'd crash because I didn't pay for that shit. I like pirated it, so every now and then it would crash. It really like just hit me like, yeah, like that's a problem that I can overcome. If there's a crash or if there's like an error in this software, I can just go and search up some like Akash from Tech India who's going to tell me about problem 337 or something, and like that's an easy problem to fix. At the time, I didn't spend too much time thinking about this. It probably would have been worthwhile, but I also did acknowledge that, oh yeah, like maybe I'll get like hate comments, and like I don't really mind about that because maybe it's like an opportunity to grow. But at least this book really did help me at the time.